Hi guys. All right, so this video is about Turo's new policy that they just pushed out. I think it was last week or maybe the week before, about not being able to list your car that's listed on Turo on any other platform. And it definitely has ruffled some feathers out there. I've seen tons of comments and questions about this, and people wanting to know what my opinion is on this. The email came through from the CEO of Turo just stating that as of starting now, it's going to be their policy that as host you cannot list your car on any other platform. So it's really interesting, right? First and foremost, I think that Turo is being really reactive. This is definitely not a proactive move. And this new policy about not listing your car, that's a big problem because more recently, actually no, not even more recently, for a while now, at least here in my area in Orange County and LA, you're hearing tons and tons and tons of ads from car sharing companies like Get Around. Specifically Get Around, I've been seeing radio ads on them every single day, TV ads, YouTube ads, remarketed ads. It's like everywhere you go, you can tell that they're making a significant push to get their name out. So I'm not sure if that's what has Turo afraid, or just in general that these other car sharing companies are maybe trying to make a move to get into the space, companies like Get Around. I'm wondering, I've never listed my cars on any other platforms just because I haven't had a need for it yet, but that doesn't mean that I wouldn't ever do that. So definitely I'm wondering, for those of you watching, if there's any of you out there that are listed on other platforms, and what is your experience so far? And it's interesting because, I'm seeing these other companies. Get Around is advertising more and more, literally as the weeks and the months go by. It's just kind of nonstop that I'm hearing that. And there's one thing of being targeted on social media. We all see that. You talk about something, you get the ads. But I'm seeing these ads on TV and radio. So, that really is kind of a crazy sign that they're making a huge push towards this market. And whereas Turo, when I started 4 years ago, there wasn't really any marketing. And then as time went on, they started to advertise more and more. And that was really cool. I started to see ads on YouTube for them, on TV kind of sometimes randomly. And one of the things that I would see a lot of was their remarketing ads, which was really cool. I'd go online, be reading, kind of random business articles or whatever it might be that I'm researching, and ads for my cars would pop up, or for Turo cars would pop up. And I've definitely noticed, in the last year or so, that their advertising really has not been so prominent. I've stopped seeing a lot of the ads that I used to see, and I personally haven't really seen any sort of progression in that department. I'm wondering, where's the big billboard that used to be right next to LAX? You would get off on the freeway, and it was on, I think, Century Boulevard, which is a main street in LA, and you would see a huge Turo billboard. They had this pink lifted two-door Jeep, which was so cool, and actually that's what inspired me to get my Jeep, because I would see that billboard all the time and people were always asking about that Jeep. So that was really cool. So things like that, I'm really not seeing that anymore. And the reason why I think that, them advertising more and marketing more is so important is especially for people who are new hosts. So for me, I started 4 years ago, so I'm really well indexed on the platform. My profile has been around for a long time. I have tons of reviews. I have tons of visits to my pages with my cars on it. So people can simply Google, for example, this is literally how when I talk to my renters, how they find me. They go on Google and they type in Polaris Slingshot for rent in Irvine, and my listings will pop up on Turo. Or Corvette for rent, in Orange County, and my listings will pop up. So I'm really well indexed. But that's not the case for a lot of new hosts that are coming onto the platform, because now there's just so many hosts that have been around and they're well indexed versus where the newer hosts are not. So I think Turo really pushing their advertising is so important to propel the new hosts that are coming on the platform. And although I've never felt a need to list my car on platforms like Get Around, I don't know how I feel about the fact that not being able to list my car on another platform and having that restriction, it feels weird. It makes me wonder, like, if you list on Airbnb, are you not allowed to list on VRBO, which I think is not the case. And if anyone knows out there, please correct me if you're wrong. If you're on Uber, can you not also drive for Lyft? How can you even regulate that, for a company like Turo? How can they even monitor if people are listing on other platforms? Obviously, unless somebody has a canceled trip and, a host shared that, oh, sorry, I have another booking, which I'm assuming is what has happened in the past. And that's probably come to surface a little bit, but I can't imagine that that's happened too much. So I don't know. It's really odd, and I would love to know if there's other Turo hosts out there that have been on platforms like Get Around. Have you left Turo entirely? What has your experience been on these other platforms? I understand why they did it, and I see that, if you can restrict your host to only be on your platform, then of course it's going to make for a more solid, reliable platform, right? You don't have to, people will have a more reliable experience. So you know that if you go on Turo, you're going to book a car, that highly likely you will get that car, and of course cancellations will go down. I understand that part. They don't want people listing on multiple sites and having double bookings and end up canceling, and then it just makes Turo's platform look bad. So that makes sense, but I still don't like the feeling of knowing that, hey, you can't list your car on another platform. So it makes me wonder, somebody like me right now, I'm fluctuating between 15 and 20 cars. I want to add another 10 more. Does that mean that I can't take my next 10 set of cars that I have and list it on Get Around or another platform? Am I able to put 10 there and 15 here? Can they control that? Can they tell me I can't do that? I really don't know, but those are the questions that are kind of going through my mind right now. So more recently, if you're looking at all the emails that are coming through, and it's kind of interesting because all of this has sort of happened all at once, just kind of separated weeks apart. The first sort of change that came through was their cancellation policy, which got pushed to guests can cancel for a full refund 24 hours prior to the start of their trip. Then there was the changes in their terms and services, which was a lot of items on there, everything from arbitration to the way you can use their name and etc. So that's a whole nother conversation. Then, of course, the major change that came through was the delightful fee increase in the standard protection, went from a 25% fee now to a 30%. And then most recently on the 18th of June, the other fabulous news that we got was that they increased the Turo Valley lot fees from $25 to $40 starting June 25th. So they kind of only gave a 7-day notice there. So it's kind of weird how all these changes kind of came so abruptly and weren't really very thorough in the way that they were explained or how they were presented to the community. And it definitely, I feel like, has lowered the morale of the community, of the host. I can see clearly from the comments and the people who have messaged me that hosts are not feeling really good about the changes that have come about. So it's kind of interesting to observe what's going on. So I'll be watching all of this really closely. And again, I would love to know, for those of you that are out there that maybe you've never hosted on Turo and you've only hosted on other platforms, how has your experience been? For those of you that are doing multiple platforms, how is that experience, and has anyone left Turo and gone to a different platform? So I'd love to hear from you guys what your feedback is, and we can definitely talk about this a little bit more. Next month, they are actually having a Power Host Summit in San Francisco, which I'm invited to. So as long as my schedule permits, I do plan on going there. So hopefully I can bring you guys back some great information about what they have in store and kind of get a better feel for what's going on with the platform. Thanks for watching, guys. I know this video was a little bit long-winded, but there was a lot to cover. I just wanted to make sure that I hit all my points. I actually wrote some stuff down just to make sure I got through it all. But please do send me your questions. I know there's a lot going on right now, and I would love to hear what some of your experiences are out there. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.